Go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mental Toughness and Body Show. My name is Rob Evans, and I'm your transformation coach, health strategist, and internationally published author, helping take your life and your business, your health, fitness, mindset, and body from where you are to where it is that you want to be. And you can see on screen, we've got 3 people here today. We normally have 1 guest, but we've got 2 today. We've got Athin Cassiotis from Sydney, and we've got Fong Chua all the way from Canada. How's it going, lads?
Awesome.
Hey, doing well.
Nice work. So I'll frame why all of us are here in a second, but maybe Athin, you're at the top of my screen here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do, and so people can get to know you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob, for having us. And yeah, I'm a business growth strategist, international speaker, coach, mentor, consultant, podcast host as well, and an investor. So I help, business owners grow and scale their businesses so they can create, wealth and freedom for themselves, and really doing that through online and in-person events, and really teaching them all 9 areas of business that I do, almost like a mini MBA, to make sure that you're successful. So that's me in a quick nutshell.
Yeah, nice. Nicely done. And Fong?
Well, once again, thank you very much for having me and also putting this all together. I'm a business strategist, real estate investor, speaker, and also a best-selling author. I also do a lot of speaking as well, and I help my clients unlock their potential. It's something that I love doing, helping them expand their exposure and impact as many people as I can, and very, very excited to be here.
Yeah, fantastic. So the reason that we are all here, we all met through the same meeting. I think we all met via being in LA or something at some point. And I guess the power of the technology and the Zoom. And look, we're all podcast hosts. And I think collectively between us, we've probably done over 3,000 episodes. And I thought we could use today, if there are people out there listening thinking, oh, geez, I've always wanted to start a podcast, so we're going to cover a whole bunch of things. But I thought maybe a good place to start would be, why we started our podcast. So Fong, maybe I'll start with you. First of all, let's give your podcast a plug and tell us why you started it.
Well, my podcast is called the Peak Potential Success Show. And I think the reason why I started was probably the same reason why both of you started. We were challenged. It came down to the what do you call it, the pandemic started, and we had to switch gears, pivot, and find out another way of connecting with people, and also expanding our network. And our coach JT basically goes, "Hey, why don't you all start podcasts?" And then that's something that kind of rung in my ear, and I go, okay, first thing is, how do you do that? And yeah. I'm sure both of you were saying the same thing, and you start asking that question. It's not like, how do I do it? How do I start? Yeah. And then you start finding out what other people do, and you do a little bit of research, and really start speaking. I'll pass it on to Athin, because I know I could keep on going on this topic, but really just start speaking, and then record yourself and post it. Is pretty much the most simplified version of how to start a podcast as I can go.
Yeah, nice. And what I will do before we jump over to you, Athin, is I will put a link to both your podcast shows below this podcast, so people can just one click get in to see you. So Athin, what about you?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. And yeah, similar to Fong as well, where we were challenged at the same time. And I was on a coaching call, and just said, you need a show, you need a podcast. And I was like, I think everybody's been probably thinking about a podcast the last few years, before COVID, because it's been there. And I thought, all right, well, what's the name going to be? I put a few names out there, and the Business Growth Show was like, yep, let's do that. And it was like, I think the biggest thing for me from a mindset perspective is I committed to it. I'm like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right, which we all have, right? We're still going with our podcast. I think less than 1% of podcasts, still continue, right? After like 100 episodes or so. So that was the biggest thing for me. I framed it around interviewing, which I know a lot of you guys do as well, just to make it, meet people in that way. And yeah, just like Fong said, just started recording, right? And the more you do it, the better you get. And I think just being committed to it was the biggest thing, and putting it on the platforms and seeing where it grew from there.
Yeah. Yeah, nicely said. I mean, for me, it was back in 2018, and JT said to me, there's no one that's doing, like, remember his JT Fox 365? and he said, you need to start a Rob Evans 365. And he said, there's no one in your space doing this every day. And I thought, okay. And it took me 45 days to start it. So I'm like, okay, I've got to do it here. And I've got to put it on this platform and et cetera, et cetera. And then I reached out to somebody actually on Upwork that worked in this space to help me post. And he said, why are you doing it this way? Why don't you do it this way? And it's for free. So I might as well share it here. I'm assuming you guys do it this way too. I've got an iPhone. I just record mine on Anchor and I just post it through that way. So is that the way you guys both do it? Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
It's super simple. It's free. It's easy, and there's no excuses. You know, you've got your phone. You think, oh, it's got to be studio quality and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it doesn't have to be. I mean, I've got a good quality microphone. I've got a Rode microphone here at my desk. I've got a good camera here. But a lot of mine, like I'm in the car. I'm in the car a lot, going from meeting to meeting, or you know, one thing to another, and you just hit record. People in this day and age are pretty much used to the raw and real kind of thing. So, you know, there really is no excuse. So it took me 45 days to do that. Then when it comes to this podcast, the Mental Toughness and Body Show, this did come out of the pandemic. And JT said to me, here's a good name for your show, Mental Toughness and Body Show. Start. I said, bang, I started that day. I recorded my first episode and posted it because I knew how to do it easily. So, yeah, really cool.
I gotta commend you on that, because when you said between the three of us, there's over 3,000 episodes. I think you deem like 2,000 of those,
2,100
or 2,500 of those.
Yeah, we definitely outweighed us with the everyday thing, Rob. I think Fong and I are weekly, but you take your hat off to you, mate. You're definitely putting a lot of content out there.
Yeah, there's a lot there, but it's just a habit. You know, it's just part of, like, those first ones that I did. It's like, oh man, I wasn't doing them consciously daily. I was like, oh man, it was getting too late at night. I was like, oh, I haven't done it today, and then I'd stay up and do it. Now it's just okay. I just do it. It's just something that I do.
So before you get to your question, I have a question for both of you.
Yeah.
Think back to your very first episode before you posted it up and before you launched it. How much time did you spend thinking, prepping, doing that first episode before you go, okay, I'm going to put this out there?
I'll say mine was 45 days because I'm like, what am I going to record and where am I going to put it? Yeah, so I'm a more detailed over analyzer and procrastinator. Used to be far worse than I am now. And yeah, but when it came to the actual thing, I was writing down points, etc. And even though I've done a little bit of prep for this today, as you both know, most of the time I force myself not to think of all the questions. So it forces me to think of, oh, I'm listening to everything that you said. It's like, oh, Fong said this. So it forces me to then say, okay, I need to ask another question here. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of silence. So certainly when I first started, I would say it was probably a few days to think of what I was going to record. And thought, is anyone going to listen to this? And I recorded it for one person. I had one client that needed extra help, and so I recorded it for them.
Nice.
And yourself, Nathan?
Yeah. So pretty much every single of my episodes have been interviewing someone, apart from my very first episode, because I wanted to do a little bit on mindset, because I'm obviously big on business, but big on mindset. So I just took some content that I had and just put a few like little dot points for me to go, okay, these are sort of the points that I want to hit, and just recorded very quickly. I think that only took me, a few days to do. But before I actually launched the podcast, though, I was thinking strategically, and I thought, I want to be consistent, because I think the biggest thing about us, right, we're all consistent here in the podcast, which is really important. So I thought I want to get a few episodes in the bank before I launch. So I did it within a few days, and recorded my first interview, but I took maybe, 2-3 weeks to just get 4 or 5 interviews in before I actually launched. So it probably took me about a month to launch, but I actually actioned it within a few days as well.
Well,
I thought that was very important. Yeah. I banked up a good 2-3 months worth of content before I go, okay, I know I could consistently have something, and I have 3 months to really bank more up. So let's just say I don't have that much banked up now, but I have people lined up for interviews, so it's all good.
So I guess anyone listening to this, you've probably heard 3 slightly different approaches there, and there's not one right approach. It's like what feels right to you. But it'd be pretty safe. I'd be confident in saying to both of you guys that if I said to you, here's a high profile person to interview straight after this, that you could both do it, right? Because
Definitely.
you've done it so many times, it's that you know the types of questions to be asked, and you make it really insightful and stuff. Would that be fair?
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
And
we
just
can think
comes
more
through
about
practice.
yeah, sometimes people might, want to plan a little bit more at the start to help yourself, but you just get into a zone where it just comes naturally after.
Yeah, that's right. I think, Fong, you hit on this in your first statement about you just start recording, right? You just start talking, just start having a conversation. So each of us, even though we've probably got some common threads through what we talk about with mindset and success and so forth, we've got our unique blend. And you could be like my cat sitting right here. You could talk about cats if you wanted to. You can talk about anything, whatever you want. If you're excited and passionate about it, then you will attract the crowd that you want.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So, something that I'll piggyback on that as well. You talked about how lots of people are thinking, hey, I need this camera, I need that microphone, I need this, I need that before I get started. And for myself, like I just had my normal laptop where I just started recording, normal laptop microphone and whatnot, and then slowly added a new phone, a new microphone, and a new video camera and all that kind of stuff. And I usually tell my clients, I'm like, go listen to Joe Rogan's very first episode.
Yeah,
like he's over 1,000 episodes now, and it looks professional, it looks great, everything's amazing. He has a person searching stuff for him and whatnot. But his very first episode, man, that was rough to watch. Like he was high, he has a whole bunch of other stuff going on. Like, it was grainy, the audio was bad, but you start somewhere and you just keep on building up.
That's right. I mean, Gary Vee, I think he talks about having something like, people say, oh, you're an overnight success or whatever. And he had something like, don't quote me, but something like 1,500 episodes on YouTube where he only had like a few people that were watching his stuff. It was all on the wine, the wine business and so forth. But they're really good points there, Fong, because and some people can say, well, what do you wear? Well, we're wearing 3 different things. Normally I'm in the suit and tie. Had an incredibly hectic morning. Didn't have time to. I've already done 2 interviews today, and I didn't have time to get changed again. Like your backgrounds here, my very first few, I interviewed some celebrities, and I didn't have the background, the virtual background. Why? Well, Athin here, he taught me about the background, because I interviewed Athin. And it's like, oh man, I wish I lived in Sydney because I love that background. And we got talking about that. And it's like, oh, how do you do that in Zoom? Well, this is all recorded in Zoom. And just simple things like that. And then you can I'm not green screening right now, so you can see parts of me disappear and all that kind of stuff. I haven't green screened this one, but you can do that cheaply. I didn't start with a good microphone, didn't start with a good camera. But yeah, like you said, you just add to it over time. I wanted to ask you both, maybe I'll start with you, Athin. What would you say have been, everybody thinks about starting a podcast, but what would you say been some of the benefits for you?
Yeah, the benefits, there's a lot. I think relationships is a massive one, right? Business is mostly about relationships, and that's a massive one. So that, it's easier to get a podcast interview with someone, whoever it is, whether they're, decently successful or very highly successful, than it is to get a meeting with them, right? Because anyone can try and get a meeting, and like, I'm too busy for that. But, if you can showcase them and make them look good, and give them value like that, people are open to that there. So I think that's been a very powerful thing about the podcast. And I would say another benefit is authority, right? I think as a personal brand, as us, we always want to be increasing our authority. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, like speaking and stuff. But, podcast is an easy way, right? And you could be interviewed on a podcast, but why not have your own podcast, right? Where you're, controlling the narrative of what you want to do and bring all these people in. So I think there's an authority element, but I think the relationships element's there. And then it's up to you on how you use that, right? It might just be to have those connections, but potentially it could open up other things where you could work with these people, in some capacity as well.
Yeah, beautifully said. Beautifully said. I think I saw a post that you did a while ago. I think when you hit your milestone, and I think it was only 10% of people that start a podcast get to 100 episodes.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's really amazing when you think about it. It's like, wow. But so many people start out with something, but they don't push on through. So therefore, once you get beyond the 100, that you're in the top 10%. And therefore that you're serious about what what it is that you're doing. So yeah, well done.
I just keep on seeing that you two are posting stuff up. I'm like, they
I
have
better
another
do
episode
something.
up. I'm gonna have to keep on going.
It's
Right.
edging each other on. That's it. That's awesome.
Right, the three amigos. What about you, Fong? What are some of the benefits that you've seen?
Well, everything Athin said is definitely true. Relationships is a big thing. I also find that it gives you another option. So, for instance, as we know on LinkedIn, there's lots of people out there that go, "Hey, you want to buy my product? Hey, you want to buy my services? Hey, you want to do this and this?" Well, instead of me just saying no, I don't want to be a part of this, I can go, "Hey, you know what? I value what you're talking about. I think it's a great product. It may not be good for me, but I want to keep this relationship going. Why don't you come on to my podcast instead?" So it gives me an option to still build relationships, even if I'm not their clientele or whatnot. The other thing is being able to connect internationally with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of speaking arrangements from Singapore to Nigeria to England because I've been interviewing people in those areas, and then I've been able to break into that. And the last thing is personal growth and development. It allowed me to stay sharp. It allowed me to be able to think faster, be able to talk better, communicate better, build better relationships. So internally, it's helped out a lot too. And I find that if I have a break between interviews because I had so many banked up, I start to get a little bit rusty.
Yes.
So then you want to get back into the groove again and try and interview a whole bunch of people in a short period of time just to get that mojo going. So I find that's very beneficial.
Yeah, brilliant. I don't think I can add too much more to that, apart from one of the things that I've been thinking about. We talk about legacy. I've got two teenage daughters, and I think so. COVID made me think about this, and so hopefully we never have to go through anything like that again. But it got me thinking about what must it have been like for my grandparents going through the First World War, then going through the Depression and all that kind of stuff. And you just get through that, and then you have the Second World War. And, our biggest issue was, when's our Uber Eats going to arrive? Theirs is, where do I get food from? And, like vouchers and stuff. And just imagine being able to have conversations with them of what they went through. So part of it for me is about leaving a legacy for my kids so that they can have me beyond, when I'm gone. And because, let's be honest, they have zero interest in listening to my podcast at the moment at age 15 and 17. But maybe at some point they do. And maybe it's them, maybe it's their kids, maybe it's their kids, and that kind of stuff. And imagine being able to, switch on a podcast to hear your great grandparents talking about their experiences and stuff. And I know when I was growing up, sometimes particularly the age my girls are now, you're trying to find your place in the world. And imagine if you heard somebody with this positive voice every single day talking about their challenges and struggles and everything, but being able to, it's always, how do we grow through the pain and do all that kind of stuff. So that's a big part of me as well. So I've got my eyes set on the 10,000 episodes. Obviously that's going to take me a number of years to get there, but I just think, wealth only you can leave as much money as you want to your kids, but if I can leave them knowledge and inspiration that never runs out, then that's been a benefit for me, as well as everything that you guys have said as well.
Awesome.
Maybe in 10 years' time.
10,000 episodes, that's 27 years.
Yeah, I'd say you just did the calculation. That's right. Also,
I had to punch that in just to make sure I was right. I'm like, that's 27 years, unless you're planning on doing 3-4 episodes a day, man.
They could be little bite-sized ones.
I'm gonna crown you the winner right now.
That's right. So I'll be I'm turning 55 this year. So what's that? So I'll be 80 something. I was like, that's Rob Evans. Yeah, there'll be a good filter by then. I'll still look the same, or I'll have a robot head or something like that.
That's funny. Well, we've Fong and I have hit the 100, right? So we're going for 1,000. Rob's like, I'm past that. Well, what's the next one? 10,000, really?
Well, 5,000. I'm going for 2,176 as of today. So wow. We will 5,000's the next big one.
Nice, mate. Well,
yeah.
You've got this, I'm sure.
Yeah. Listen, I know we could talk about some of these things for days. I'm just having a look at my next question here. Let's say, Fong, I'll start with you. Goals challenges for 2023, given the time of recording this, we're just hitting Feb 2023. What are some of your goals and challenges that lay ahead for you?
Keep this podcast going.
Mm-hmm.
No, more seriously, one of my goals is to do a lot more speaking engagements worldwide, whether it's live or online. That's something I always enjoy doing. Probably publish another book, and then expand my business twofold. So it's always something I want to do.
Nice. Athin?
Yeah, awesome, Fong. Yeah, for me, really stepping up my game in the in-person events world. So I've done some speaking, as we all have, but I started my coaching mentoring business like just before COVID, like a few months. So pretty much it's all been virtual. So now that people are wanting to get back in person, I think there's a place for both, but I'm wanting to to help more of the local community in Sydney and around Australia do that. So I'm going to be doing both virtual events as well as in-person events soon, do some free ones as well as some other paid events and stuff like that as well. So really getting myself out there. It was powerful to speak on stage in LA recently. We're all there enjoying it. Powerful, great thing there. It's like, well, I want to be able to help more people that way. And sometimes some people are a bit funny about the Zoom thing. I think there's pros and cons, right? So if you do both, you can get a lot more people, because I think for all of us, it's all about making a bigger impact. So that way I'll be able to reach more people that like each one and take it to the next level. So that's the biggest thing, obviously continuing the podcast and all of the other things, but I'd say that would be the big one for me to really stake my claim as, one of the top, business, coaches, mentors, strategists, whatever you want to call it in Australia as well.
Yeah, nice work. You just reminded me there of another benefit of the podcast. One of the reasons that I started it was to improve the way that I speak. And so I used to use a lot more filler words like, so this and whatever. And I wanted to become, better at speaking. Because I listened, like you were saying before about listening back to your first few episodes, I'm like, what was I saying here? Can you get to a point? I'm going to switch off this in a second. It's my podcast. That was something that I thought was important for me. You just get better and better at asking questions, better at everything, don't you? Nice goals, lads.
Yourself, Rob?
Mine. Well, I think for me, I mean, I've got two teenage daughters. One's going through a major health crisis. She does have a terminal illness, unfortunately, and that means that I have to have this buffer of time each week for the unknown. So that does mean that I can't spend as much time in my business as I would like to. And so the good news is that I'm hitting my targets that I'd set, but when I look at what the potential is, that makes me frustrated. But what do? I've got to shift that priority when it's required. Also starting up another coaching business with a business partner, which I haven't done that before, and we're just starting that right now. And we've set some financial targets for that this year, which would that would be if we hit those, that'll be a 50% increase in my revenue for the year, and that's a decent upturn in year one. If we hit our full targets, then it's 100% upturn. So that's pretty cool. I mean the other goal for this year for me is relationships. And what you both said about using this platform, it makes it so much easier to build those because we all want to network up, and it makes it so much easier. Like the event that we were just at where you spoke, Athin, so well in LA. I'm capturing names and thinking, okay, this is a good person to invite to get to know more onto the podcast, and then you can see how that goes from there. There's only so much you can do in a few minutes, but then you can reach out and have that connection. So I'll echo that. I think that's really cool. So they're probably my big aims this year. Support my daughter to help her and get some breakthroughs, grow the business, set up the new business, and obviously helping take that to the next level is only going to happen through relationships. And I think that, I think one of the things that we've probably all noticed is the longer you have your podcast, the better guests that you have on. That makes it easy to get the next guest, because the list of the high profile people that you've had on there just grows and grows. Really cool. What would you say is, so if we look at since you've started business, maybe some business lessons, some unexpected experiences, a failure where you've learned something really good, something like that. Maybe Fong, maybe if you go first.
Sure. So recently I've been doing this talk with some of my clients and also some of my engagements, where I learned this lesson, which is something that came from something kind of weird. So imagine this. Every night I went out to get my mail. All right. And every night when I go across the street to pick up my mail, I always felt that something was wrong. I felt that somebody's watching me. But that's kind of weird. Why is somebody watching me every single time? It doesn't matter if I go on a Tuesday night or a Friday morning or a Saturday evening. I feel that presence of somebody watching me. So one time I grabbed my mail and I did this little, and sure enough, I saw something in the background. And I'll show you a picture of what I see.
Are you going to share your screen? Give you functionality.
It's changing the background.
All right. So you see this?
Yeah. That looks like a haunted house.
So that's what I see. So I quickly turned around and I went home. And every single time I go, that person is right there in the window staring out. And I'm like, this person has nothing better to do. Finally, my wife went out and grabbed mail one time. I said, hey, did you see that guy? She goes, no. I'm like, okay, we're going to drive by. I guarantee you he's going to be there. And we drove by, and sure enough, he was there. Now, the thing is, he might be wearing red. He might be wearing green. He might be wearing blue, whatever it was, right? We drove by. I'm like, see, he's right there. He's right there. And she looks at me with that look of, boy, you're so stupid. I'm like, what? She goes, it's a life-size cut-up, okay, of a guy holding a cat. And what the owners do is they put on these sweaters once in a while just to change the look. So then I go, why didn't I go and take a closer look? Why didn't I ask more questions? And that kind of came to me, and I'm like, how many times have we stopped ourselves from pursuing something just because we, one, don't ask for a second opinion, or two, don't go out there and ask what's actually going on? So I thought that was a kind of weird life lesson that I got, because it's so relevant to why lots of people don't succeed. Go out there, ask for that second opinion. Go out there and ask why something is the way it is, so that you can find out more before you take action to it. So anyways, right now, they actually have a life-size cutout of Bernie Sanders sitting in the corner there. So I know it for sure is a life-size cutout.
Maybe they run a printing business.
Who knows?
Yeah, nice one, Fong. Nice. I like that. Athin, what about you?
Yeah, that was awesome, Fong. Love it, mate. So yeah, for me, there's been a lot of lessons, with my multiple businesses and things. One I want to take back to is, we've talking about relationships a lot today. And, my always intention is to never burn a relationship, right? Is to always have relationships there, because you never know when you might, connect with them. You don't want anything bad to come back to you. But if I talk about a bit of a lesson or a failure, right, that happened when I was younger, so that, you don't do the same thing, is that I was very at the start of my business journey, and I was doing my old boss. He sort of left that company that I was working for when I had a job, and then had his own business. And I went to do some work for him. And I sort of went in and, I sort of knew numbers behind things and everything like that. And I sort of demanded like how we were going to work together, right, in that way, because I was like, I'm worth more than this. This is the way. And I was sort of telling him how to run his business. And, in the end, that relationship broke down, right? And it was a big lesson for me, where you're not there to tell somebody else how to run their business. You're there to partner with someone, if they're getting work for you or whatever it is, the situation in business. So always be on as if you're the business owner, that person was coming to you. What would you like that thing to be? Never demand something, right? In that way. And it wasn't like overly demanding, but in the way that I was framing, in the way that I was there, I wasn't, instead, now, and I've heard this breakdown with a friend of mine, with someone there, right? That's recently as well. Right? That's why I'm mentioning this is, ask the question, saying, I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts on that? That's a way that you could, do it in a different way, saying, hey, I think I deserve this, or, this is the way that I want it to go, right? In that way. So I think that was a big distinction for me, that I've never done it again. I learned my lesson, right? Don't never fail the same thing more than once. But I think relationships are really key. So be strategic on, getting their points of view, the other person, before sort of, coming to an agreement on something. Don't just demand things in that way. So that would be a biggest lesson that I can remember. There's been many of them, as Fong said, and I think he said it really great, where this is the power of coaching and mentoring, right? Because having somebody else in our corner, that second opinion, and multiple coaches and mentors, depending on what it is, right? That in different business or life areas there to help us, or health, right? To get that help. And it might be that if you're scared of doing something in business, you probably don't have the skills for it yet. So it's like, how do I get the skills? How do I learn what I need to do? You've all learned how to create a podcast very simply today, right? We've given you some skills there that you can implement, but it might be something else that you need to learn that will give you the confidence to then execute on what you want to do. So that's the power of getting that opinion as well. So yeah, great question, Rob, and love to hear it from your side as well, mate.
Yeah, sure. So I think maybe a couple of things. I'll talk about a regret first. It kind of ties into a lesson that I've just received in the last few years, and that is, it relates to the relationships as well. And only knowing this through the coaching, and you think, oh, well, you just meet somebody and, hopefully something happens, but you've got to constantly add value, as we all know here. And that's something that I've been practicing for this last 12 months. Just how do I add more value? With every person I'm interacting with, what can I do? And an easy way for us is, like, we can obviously invite them to our podcast. We can share our audience with them. We can promote them. And often it's an introduction too. We're all very well connected. It's like, okay, who can I connect this person to another person? And so for this last 12 months, every single day, 7 days a week, I've blocked out 30 minutes a day to build relationships, and whether it's be new relationships, nurturing a relationship, or whatever. And up to this last 12 months, I said, oh yeah, I've got to work on building relationships. And as soon as I blocked it out, I actually did it. And that's made a real difference to not only in podcasts that I do, but also what it means to me in just adding value to people. And you find you do it from the right spot, it normally comes back to you tenfold in some way. And that's really powerful. I want to briefly talk about maybe a regret I had, and that was back when I was 16, and I picked up this book called, I had this hunger for motivation and growth, and it was called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. You can still get the book. I think it's a Napoleon Hill book, or Clement Stone or something like that. And I remember picking it up in the newsagent and being really inspired by it. I thought, I'm going to get this book. I think it was like $12.99 or something like that, which is a bit for me when I bought it in 1984 or something. And I never finished the book. And I started reading it, and there was a couple of things. There was a bunch of acronyms in there that it was like, oh, it was just disrupting the flow. And there was a few religious references in there, and it was like, kind of putting me off a little bit. But then I only just recently realized that one of the reasons that I also stopped was I didn't understand what it all meant. Because, like, I'm like 16 trying to grasp, like mindset concepts and that kind of stuff. Now, I wasn't a great student. I was like, I'm a shorter guy. I was bullied. I was the shortest person in the school. I was not smart. I didn't have friends. I wasn't good at sport. Great self-esteem that I had. I mean that facetiously. And I was physically abused, doesn't sound right, but as a bully, like I was punched, I was dragged down the corridors by other kids and that kind of stuff. And so when I'm reading this book, I'm like, I'm too stupid to understand this. I may as well stop reading it because I'm a bad student, all this and all that. So it's this negative downward spiral that I created for myself. And I didn't pick up like self-improvement again until I was about 30. And I just think, if only I had persevered with that, or maybe it just wasn't the right book for me at that particular time, and I had pushed through and kept doing it. I still have the book in my bookshelf. And I just think how much further along I would be, because the growth that I've had since I've been 30 has been a lot bigger. And my most growth, like I changed profession when I was 40, and my biggest growth I think I've had in my life is the last 5 years.
Awesome.
So my biggest regret is not continuing to improve myself. So improve yourself every day. That's the key.
Definitely. And it's never, I think that the other lesson is it's never too late to start, right? Colonel Sanders, KFC, started when he was 60 years old, right? Yeah. Business. So don't use that excuse that I'm too old, right? You know, Rob's given a good earlier example, but you can do it at any time. It is just, wanting to improve yourself, and you'll get there over time.
Yeah. Terrific.
I've always had that mentality of like, if only I started earlier, if only but then you never reverse that. What if we didn't start when we started? What if it wasn't until 5 years later, kind of thing, right? So I'm just be grateful for where we are right now, and that we turned that page, and we're gonna keep on going. So
yes. All right. Thank you, guys. That's been awesome. Now I know we could keep asking a whole bunch of questions here, but just conscious of everybody's time. We're going to have some fun now. So I've got the timer set for 1 minute. Athin, I'm going to start with you. And we're just going to get as many questions out as I can. I've got 251 questions to select from, and you're not going to get the same questions. And what we're looking for is not a detail. Oh, gee, let me think. It's as quick as you can think about something, okay?
Sounds good, mate. I'm ready when you are.
Ready? All right, let me hit the timer and let's go. How do your friends describe you in a word?
Influential.
Do you like to call or text?
Call.
What's your fancy place to visit?
Greek islands.
Indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors.
What famous person would you most like to have dinner with?
Elon Musk.
Favorite country?
I have to say Greece again.
Whiskey or beer?
Whiskey.
Who would you want to be stuck with on an island? Maybe Elon Musk.
Let's say Bear Grylls, because he'll get me off the island.
Yeah, nice. If you were an animal, what would it be?
Let's say lion.
Yeah, I would go with that. Do you like swimming?
Yes.
Who do you admire most?
Admire most? That's an interesting one. Admire most. I admire anyone that's been very successful.
Nice. And that is time lucky, because, well, Fong's going to get the next question that you were going to get, and it's like,
I'm listening to your answers, and I'm like, man, those sound so adult. I have such childish answers for all those. So, anyways, right ahead.
The first, my cat's just whiskers to decide to pop his head up. The first one might take the whole minute, Fong. This could be really dangerous. All right, you ready?
Go ahead.
What are you hiding now?
My background.
Okay. Are you a possessive person?
No.
Favorite household chore?
Vacuum.
Do you cook?
Yes.
Backpacking or luxurious travel?
Luxurious.
Are you a family person or a friend's buddy?
Family.
Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
Next vacation? Somewhere Disney, I'm guessing.
Yeah, probably Disney.
What do you do on a guy's night out? It's easy for me. Stay home.
Movie.
Do you work out?
Yes.
Favorite sport?
Hockey.
Ice?
Yep.
What's your idea of a good date?
Nice dinner.
One with your wife. Yeah. Nice. Nice job. All righty. Well, we've got a nice insight into you. All right. So the next part was, I'm going to get maybe Athin, you can go next. We were going to, I don't know, I guess ask some stupid questions of each other to have a bit more fun. So no time limit. We'll see how they go. So you can pick who you're going to ask. Oh yeah, you can ask both of us.
Yeah. So me to start this one. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I might do is I think it'd be cool to get both of your answers on things. So what I might do is I might say the question and then I'll say the name and then the name, right? Like that. So you're both going to get like some quick stuff happening and make it happen, if that's all right. The second person will get an advantage, but I'll switch it around, right? So we'll make it happen on that way there. So, okay. What is the first thing that pops up into your head when I say the word fun? Fong?
Disney.
Rob?
Workout.
Nice. Love it. So interesting, like different parts, right? You know, on what we see there. So next one is, what's the weirdest food you've eaten, Rob?
Probably tribe when I was younger. Disgusting.
Nice. Fong?
I've had a bug once.
Tarantula.
That's mainly because it was a challenge. But anyway.
I went to a restaurant in New Zealand. I ate crickets in a crepe once, just as an FYI. That was interesting. So yeah, it was a bit.
Is it good?
It was crunchy and interesting, earthy, let's call it. Yeah.
I believe they're high in protein, some of those bugs. So way to go. Build the biceps.
My wife didn't like it, so I had to finish the whole thing as well. So that was interesting. So let's do a funny one just quickly. If you were to buy an ideal onesie, so you know what a onesie is? There's like one piece like things that you get. What would it be? Fong?
Batman.
Nice. And Rob?
Batman. Okay. Let's go Chewbacca.
Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Nice. We see what movies you guys like.
I actually don't like I've never watched a full Star Wars movie, but I like Chewie.
I like Chewie. Hey, that's all good, mate. Whatever improves you. So there's a few cool questions. Let me maybe just ask one quick other one, because I think this one will be interesting. If you could start a new podcast, what theme would it be, Rob?
Okay. I have a title, but I don't know that I should say to protect it. It's all about what my daughter's going through.
That's all right. You don't have to do the title, just the theme.
Yeah, so to protect her. But let's just say kind of similar to what I'm doing right now, but it's all about body image.
Nice. Oh.
Well, all the questions that you guys asked, I kept on thinking Disney a lot. So I was thinking it'd be great to do a podcast on just how Disney works and all that kind of stuff, and then maybe expand that to other very successful brands and companies and dive into those.
Yeah, nice. How they work.
What about you, Athin?
If I was going to do one, I would do it on like health, like how would I say it? Health and wellness, but like wellness, I would say I would do it on, because I think that's a key part. I'm very big on my health, right? On that side of thing and the wellness side. So I would go really deep a lot of those things as well.
Yeah, nice. So giving people some ideas. Nice questions. Not all around there. Fong, now I know you're going to get crazy with this, but this was your suggestion. So how would you like to do it? You're in charge.
All right. Athin actually stole one of my questions, so I had to modify it right off the bat. I was going to ask you what was one of the weirdest foods you've eaten, but then I'm going to switch that up. What is one of the weirdest food that you've eaten and liked, or you eat often that most people don't like? So, for example, grilled cheese with jam is actually pretty good.
Nice.
So how about Rob?
Look at that. Well, look, when I first started because every person I say this, they say, "Oh, what? Really? You ate that?" When I started I started training back in 1988. My goal was to put on a lot of mass and build a lot of muscle. And so one of the snacks that I would have was English muffins. Like the ones that you cut, not the sweet ones that come with a thing. An English muffin with honey and cheese. And people say, "What? That's weird." But I tell you, probably a bit like the one you just said. Very nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
I know it's not that super weird, but my eating is pretty clean and simple, because that's what works for my tummy. But yeah.
Cool,
nice. Yeah, one thing that probably is a bit weird, but I love it to an extent, and is actually healthy as well, is I mix hummus, you know, the dip, right? And I mix it with avocado, and I mix it together, and I potentially add some spices to it as well. And then I have it with like either some veggies or some crackers and stuff like that. So I sort of make a rendition. And even sometimes if I really want to like make it into a meal, like a big meal, I could actually add a lot of quinoa to it. So, you know, quinoa is like a seed that's got a lot of protein. So I would mix it into, it's almost like interesting. It's like a weird sort of almost like a stew thing, this thick thing with all this quinoa and hummus and avocado and some tomato in there as well, likely. But it's really tasty when you add some good spices and stuff to it. So it's very weird, but you should try it sometime. Very cool.
Okay, so we need to all get together and prepare each of what we just said and try it out, and then we can. There's another podcast for us. Weird foods.
That's it, definitely.
Both yours sounds a lot more healthy than what I had, so you guys take the cake there. All right, second questions. I'm going to go kind of back and forth with both of you. So I know, well, World Cup just finished, so therefore I'm going to ask both of you. You're both team captains. Okay, you're formulating a team to play against each other. Instead of having a full lineup, I think the full lineup is 11 players on each side, right?
Yes.
So I just need you to come up with a forward position, a midfielder, one defenseman, and a goalie, and which position you'll play. And I want you to pick a cartoon character to represent each spot. Okay? So first of all, I have a number in my head between 1 to 10. Give me your number and you'll be picking first. So Athin, pick a number.
3.
6.
3. And Rob?
6.
6. So my number was 8. So Rob, you get first dibs on who do you want on your team.
All right. So you're gonna have to refresh me.
Pick one person first.
Well,
pick one character first.
Okay. So a character. Well, Sylvester. He used to be my favorite. I love cats, so he'd be my favorite one there. So I picked Sylvester.
Sylvester, okay. So that's your first player. Athin, your first player.
I'd say Roadrunner because he's extremely quick, and I'd put him up front there, and he'd be, I think, scoring a lot of goals.
There you go. Second player, Rob.
Okay, so what if I went with say Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants with all those extra tentacles? They've got to be good as a goalie.
All right.
Nice. I'm gonna say Wile E. Coyote because he runs around, he does all this sort of crazy stuff and stuff like that. So I reckon he creates a lot of terror into the game as well.
All right, Rob, third player.
Third player. Let's see. I don't watch a lot of cartoons, so I'm going back in time here. I love The Simpsons. I feel like I need to get Bart in there somewhere. So let's go with Bart.
Okay. Athin.
Nice. Yeah, you got me on The Simpsons, bro, because that's one of my favorite cartoon shows now. One of my favorite characters is Snake. He's the guy that always steals stuff and, you know, like everything like that. So I think he'd be stealing the ball, you know, of a lot of other people and then getting it for our team.
Nice.
All right. And rounding off the team, your last player.
All right, so I'll go with Lisa. She's the brains of the team for sure, off The Simpsons. And I've met Yardley Smith, so
cool.
And Nancy Cartwright, isn't it? That plays Bart. Yeah.
And Athin, your last player.
Yeah. I think I have to go with Bugs Bunny now, because I think he brings people together, like, you know, in the Space Jam movies and stuff like that. He does well with bringing people together. So I think it'd be a great addition to the team.
He was good on Space Jam.
Right. So transfer the skills onto the pitch.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nicely done. So we have Team Rob against Team Athin. We'll have people vote for their favorite team on the chat and all that kind of stuff and put their comments in to find out who's going to win that game. My last question for both of you is, we've all watched infomercials. We've all been in sales. The two of you are awesome at sales. So I have a product for you. Who wants to go first?
You want to go first, Rob?
Yeah, sure. All right.
All right, Rob. So here's your product. In a quick 30 seconds to a minute, sell this product like there's no tomorrow.
Well, you're going to put what's the product? The thing around the face?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so we've got this brand new flexible face protector. It is so good. It stops your hair getting in the way when you're eating a noodle dish or eating any meal at all, soups, lobster, you name it, because we all know how frustrating it is to get hair in your food. It's cheap, it's easy, it folds up, puts in your pocket, comes in 15 different colors, and will help your clothes remain clean and hair-free, and you'll enjoy your food so much more. And not to mention, you can take an awesome selfie with it.
Nicely done.
Nice.
All right, Athin, your product.
What is that? It's like like far out. It's like a skivvy, but it's like a all around the head. Okay.
With a funnel.
Interesting one. All right. I want you to imagine it's wintertime and extremely cold outside and you've got no heating. What are you going to do? And you know what happens? You went there and for some reason you've lost all of your blankets. What do you need? You need the body blanket. This thing is amazing. It covers your whole body. Your toes might stick out a little bit just so you can walk around in that and feel the thing, but it's going to cover the rest of you. And you're only really going to have a little space for your eyes in there as well, so you can watch TV and do what you got to do, but it's going to cover your whole body. Don't need to worry about, getting different clothes and layering, because this thing is so thick, but it's so light at the same time. So it's like you've got multiple layers on, but it's very functionable. And people will not be able to see you very well, but you're going to be extremely comfortable in what you want to do, and it's going to take your heating techniques and your body temperatures to the next level.
Nicely done. That's it for me. Thank you.
How did you find that?
You just search weird products online.
So that's a real product.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
The head thing is
You'll be
hilarious.
surprised what else you find. So
Well, and they could be making millions. I have a client that has a client that they make, their turnover is about 35 million a year, and they sell essentially one type of product. Have a guess what it is, Fong? It's something appropriate, so don't go super weird. It's not super weird at all.
what area?
I'm not telling you.
Oh,
Let's just say
no clues
entertainment.
whatsoever.
Let's say entertainment.
Entertainment.
Ooh. I'm stumped. Earphones.
Inflatable beach toys.
Interesting.
Wow.
And it's a husband and wife. It's all online, and they make about 35 million a year.
Woo.
It's like, are you kidding me? When you know how much work we're putting into what we're doing, it's like they're just selling online inflatable toys. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Hey, great questions, guys. It's making mine look pretty measly. So let's see here. I'll ask you different questions. How about that, so that you don't get a chance to think. So, Athin, I'll start with you. What are 3 things that you could buy at the grocery store to make the cashier give you weird looks?
I think one of the worst things is always condoms or rubbers, whatever you want to call them, right? You don't necessarily want to buy it. I think another one would be like a really big eggplant or something like that. Just there, it would be weird looks. And another one would be something that's like extremely weird, like to eat, that something that like a lot of people hate. I'm trying to think what it would be, but like maybe like a really, really off cheese or something like that, that they had there. Like, yeah, this is still good. Or like off berries or something, when they're selling them really cheap, but they're like moldy and stuff like that. Oh yeah, these are awesome. I love these.
Yeah, nice. Okay, no, I can't resist, Fong. You look like you want to answer, so tell me yours.
Oh man. Well, when you walk into a grocery store and the only thing you put on the conveyor belt is a plunger, well, you kind of give an image as to why you're there. So
I need 2 more.
Well, I'm going to go that route, meaning you're probably getting some medicine for whatever's going on. And third item,
All
let's
3
say,
plungers.
pardon?
All 3 plungers. Just
Just 3 of them, yeah. There you go.
Nice. Well done. All right. Okay, so Fong, I'll start with you. Oh no, we'll go back to you, Athin. So if you could replace all the grass in the world, what would you replace it with?
All the grass in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to, but if I had to, I would replace it with. It depends how. If I want good, I would do something with good intentions. I could replace it with something with bad intentions, but that would be not nice. So I would say bark chips, because it's something that you could still,
Bark chips.
where you could still have it. Because I like earthy stuff. If I was going to be bad, I would say sand, because then everyone would just get sand everywhere, like that. But I want to have good intentions, so bark chips.
Okay. All right, Fong.
For some reason, first thing that comes to mind is carpet.
Okay. I thought one of you might say licorice, or something that you could eat, or something like that. Yeah, nice. All right.
You know you're hungry, Rob. Then.
Yeah, that's right. Let's get it. It's around lunchtime here. All right. Athin, if you could merge two different animals together to create your ultimate animal, what two animals would it be, and what would be their product?
Their product.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
So, like say, like take cows, for instance. Well, milk, whey protein, cheese, milk, all that kind of
Okay,
stuff.
so if you're going to add them together. All right. That's an interesting one. Okay, so something's I'm just interesting is what came to me straight away was I'm going to have an eagle as the top, because then it can fly with wings, but then have it as like, I'm going to do an Australian animal here, platypus, which is, I think that swims in the water, so that, it basically it can fly as well as swim on the bottom, right? So that would be a very interesting animal there. And the only thing I can think of is that would be a very interesting egg that they would be providing together with both of their DNAs, because platypus is, I think, the only mammal that lays an egg, actually, which is an interesting fun fact for everyone. And yeah, they would lay a very interesting egg for you to eat, and it would be like extremely, extremely high in protein. It would be like having like 6 eggs, but you just have to have one.
Yeah, nice. I like that. Very good. Fong?
I had an eagle in my mind too, but merging with a lion, which I think basically is a griffin, isn't it? Probably. And the product is entertainment. You get to watch this thing do what they do best, fly and hunt.
Yeah, nice.
Nice. And what about you, Rob? Do you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
I was thinking lion and kangaroo. Just because, it'd be a lot of fun, and they're out here in the, like, kangaroos. Yeah, you see images of the boxing kangaroo and stuff, but why not just have the kangaroos ripping people to shreds? I mean, just because they can.
Not just boxing, ripping them to shreds at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know whether you know this, Fong. Athin will, but the kangaroo is part of our national emblem, and we do eat kangaroo here. Did you know that?
I kind of assumed.
Yeah, because we're crazy down under. It's actually very, very lean. And I say to people, about that, they say, oh no, I normally say about penguins, the little fairy penguin. I don't know, they call them, what do they call them now? No, they call them fairy penguins, little penguins or whatever. And I say, oh, have you ever tasted one of those? And they say, no, really? I say, oh no, it's actually really high in protein, and it's way better than koala. And it's like, we don't eat those, Fong. We don't eat either. I'm just saying, but it's just for the look on their face. It's like, what? So don't really eat them. Don't really eat them. Nice work. Hey, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. I've really enjoyed this time. I know that the work that we all put into our shows is it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. I think we've shared some great wisdom and some fun facts here for everybody today. If you think about starting a podcast, just get to it. Replay this. Reach out to any of us. If you suit our criteria, you never know, you could be a guest on one of our shows, or all three of them, because we do like to share our connections. As I said earlier, I will put links to both Athin's and Fong's show under here. And jump on board and support everybody here, because everybody's got a great message, just like you right now listening to this. So thanks, fellas, for today. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Great. Thanks for having us.